Kaya, can you?
Because I'm struggling to get.
Levi can be able to proceed. Thank you.
Hi, Levi, it's loading now. I don't know if it's possible if you can take over the presentation. Does it prompt you on your side?
Not yet.
Okay.
Are you winning, Kaya?
It's still loading on my side.
Okay. Okay, it's on the screen now.
Okay. Are you able to control it?
I actually loaded, you removed it, so it's not in by me.
Oh.
Yes, it's here now. Yes, can I then move?
Yes, you can continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. So as I have started by greeting the MEC, the chairperson of the portfolio committee, members of the portfolio committee, HOD and the colleagues. So I will reflect quickly on performance of the department insofar as the Q4 is concerned. And the slide that you see there basically talk to the purpose of these presentations to give an analysis, overview analysis of Q4 and basically reflect on where we are and how we have basically done in relation to the further under review. The next slide, I don't know whether the slides are moving by you, Chair. The next slide then deals with two parts. We'll reflect firstly on the APP deliverables, and then the second aspect will then talk to what has not been achieved, but where work has been done in relation to Q4. The next slide then talks to which are primary school, which mainly was a new additions and alteration to the existing school building and infrastructure. And Chair, the work that has been done in relation to that basically talk to the construction of the new blocks, which is in the main, the guardhouse, the admin blocks, the parking bays for staff and visitors, the science library, and as well as the plant room and the installation of the 2.4 meter high clear view fence. The next slide, I'm not sure what is the next slide then. Chair, sorry, just a minute. I just want to make sure that the slides are moving properly there. Sorry about Chair. I just want to check whether the slides are moving by you.
It's not me, but somebody is moving them, but it's not me.
Yeah, I don't know what is. I don't know what is happening. Can you see the slide moving?
Yes, they are moving. Progress
Okay,
on
thanks.
infrastructure. Yes.
Yes. I just explained the slide that then talks to education in terms of what we have achieved. The next slide basically talk to. I think let me go to the slide. I was actually on this slide. I explained this slide in terms of what has been completed. The next slide then talks to the health infrastructure project performance, which is in the main the Josh Mokari, which is about the phase one, which then deals with the renovation and upgrades, as well as the Lenasia CHC. The next slide then talks to STARS project, which is in the main your Impumelelo library, which is basically the libraries in Lesedi local district municipality, which is in the Devon. And that project, Chair, in terms of its scope, it basically was about the provision of architectural, structural, and civil, as well as electrical specification to improve the current state of the facility. This slide is more about the total of infrastructure project that we have completed, some which then talks to the slide that I have already listed above, which is Dr. George Mokari and Lenasia, as well as other school infrastructure project. You notice that the Setlabocha is also there, your Kamohelo Primary School, which is the renovation and repairs, as well as and your Matla Combined School, which then deals with the emergency scope, which is the repairs. And the pictures, as you see there, basically tell the story in terms of the project performance on what has been completed. The next slide then, Chair, is just a reflection of the work that we have done for the quarter under review, which in essence has not been fully completed for that particular quarter, but the work rolls over to the new financial year, which is this financial year. And Chair, when we come back in August, when we deal with the Q1, we should be able to reflect the completion of those projects. But one of those is a fine town, and the details in terms of this clinic, I think there's a full presentation that we will take through. But in here, we basically reflect the percentage of the actual project and the work that has been done. So you would notice that the overall progress for this work is 96%. The next one then deals with the Buikutso clinic. With regard to that one, so there's also, we're reflecting on the status in terms of the project performance, where we are. at the time of completing the quota, and the overall progress for this project is sitting at 90%. The next deals with the Bramfisher Primary School. With regard to that one, and again, Chair, we're saying that the work that has been done is in relation to the IDMS gate stage, which is a Gate 5 project execution plan version 4A, which has now been passed through, as well as now in Gate 6, which is a PEP version 4B. And the project, as you see in the pictures, is currently at the construction. The next slide deals with the Raster Secondary School. With regard to that, similar approach in relation to what we have said then in terms of the project percentage breakdown. The overall progress is currently at the 70%. The next slide then deals with the Mapenani Secondary School. With regard to that one, again, we're basically showing the project, the breakdown in terms of what has been completed and the percentage of what has not been completed as yet. And the overall progress is currently at the 90%. The next slide deals with the Kopanong precinct. And I think here, Chair, just to give a context, you know that quarter to quarter, when we come back here, we basically reflect on this work as we've committed to basically give an overview of the work that is happening on this critical project. So this slide, as you see, as you know, it's basically giving the overall rehashing on the overall project objective around what Kopanong is all about, mainly to deal with how then we eliminate the process and the work description to ensure that there's stability of tenure. The issue around how then we create an urban design of a government precinct through consolidation of office-based structures. And in that, how then do we improve our space functionality and working environment to accommodate the project growth and various departments. And then also issue around how then do we improve service delivery by government through efficient and functional and interrelation and openness in the public and community, as well as how then do we identify vehicle of changing equity ownership. And this slide then talks to the actual scope of the project in terms of what it is and the packaging. In the main, the issue around refurbishment of all building to comply with the regulation and standard, relocation of staff to a newly refurbished building, and operation and build and operate, facilities management, as well as the life cycle. So now this slide then talks to the actual progress in relation to quarter 4 on where we are on this project. As you know that we've said that this project, in terms of its project value, it's around 7.6 billion, which is mainly close to 8 billion. And Chair, just to give a context on this, is that this project is divided into, we have said that there's 4 clusters in relation to this project, and each cluster would approximately, in terms of the cost that you see there, 7.6 billion, would therefore consist of either 2 billion or 1.8 per cluster to make that total project value. And how that works is that each cluster, in terms of the whole concept of Kopanong precinct, is divided into phase A and phase B. And for example, a cluster 1 would then have phase A and phase B. What is phase A and phase B? Phase A is basically the vacant buildings, and the phase B is basically the existing buildings. So in terms of how the process would then work in terms of this whole notion of Kopanong, we're saying that as we then refurbish the phase A in terms of cluster 1, which is a vacant building. So once that is done and complete, then we then decant the people that are occupying the building in phase B, which is existing, to move into phase A, but the movement is once off. So basically that's how the the concept of a Kopanong is. In terms of the 4 clusters, which is 18 building, and each cluster has got a vacant building as well as existing building that needs to be refurbished. So what are we saying now in terms of this progress here? What we're saying, Chair, that the work that we are seized with is that we are currently at the bid evaluation for the 4 clusters, and that process in terms of the BAC, we're expecting to have been complete now in Q1, and then we now expecting the appointment of the preferred bidder in Q2, as we would then come back in Q2, also then report the progress. But that, what does that for me? That once the BAC process is complete, the next phase is now then to make an application to Treasury in terms of the Treasury TA2B, which we then expect that process to happen in between Q1 and Q2. So basically, that's where we are in relation. So we are then expecting that the once that is done, then we then go to the actual appointment of the preferred bidder, the negotiation, and then the actual construction. In terms of the Kopanong timeline, we then expect that it will then happen in the next financial or probably between February and March, maybe before the end of the quarter, before the end of the year, financial year. So basically, that's where we are, and we thought that it's necessary that we keep the committee abreast in relation to the work that we are doing on the Kopanong. The next slide then deals with the EPWP. The EPWP is more about the commitment we have made as the leading department to basically coordinate the work opportunities. And the slide that you see there is basically the quantitative data that then talks to the total number of planned targets set and what has been achieved for that particular quarter in relation of the contributing department as well as contributing municipalities, insofar as or as divided into sectors. And you would notice that the breakdown is in terms of 3 sectors, which is social, infrastructure, and environment. So the slide you see then, it shows that which department has contributed how much per sector and which municipality has contributed how much per sector as well. The next slide then deals with the supply chain performance, as again as what we have made a commitment to continue, come back and then give a progress in relation to how we're doing around the issues on BBBE. So you would also notice that we are reporting in terms of the target set and how far we have done. But the next slide then gives the picture in terms of the awards made in terms of the area of development, and as similarly to the slide above, we then talk to where we have not made a significant achievement, and that then talks to issues around the TR, people with disability, as well as youth, in terms of the awards that have been made. The next slide, and we have said that this is what the MEC continues to, on quarterly basis, make sure that there's a troubleshooting of the project challenges on the ground. And these are the projects that the MEC has visited, and firstly, divided into 2 main areas, which is under education. So those 2 projects, which is your Tubalihle as well as the Bramfisher, we've already reported the percentage progress in relation to that, and then as well as the under health infrastructure, and those are the project that she has visited: the Anglo Gold Ashanti, Randfontein, the Fine Town, as well as the George Mokari. The next slide then deals with the actual Q report in terms of the statistical analysis, where we are, how we're basically done insofar as meeting our target. As you notice that we have closed the quarter by achieving 58%, with the 14% of our targets not met completely, and then 28% of those are mainly where we have made progress, but we have not fully completed. Then we've already talked to some of the project performance in the slide above, where we said that it's work done but not completed. And below slide then talks to the actual numbers, and that number translates to the percentage. The next slide then deals with now the overall performance in accordance to the budget structures. You know that we've got the three program 1, 2, and 3. Insofar as core is concerned, program 2, which is your public works infrastructure, which then is divided into property management as well as health, infrastructure, and education and stars. And in that, you'd notice that there's an overall of the 65% of the targets met. And in program 3, PWP, 25% of the target met as well. And in administration, 58% of the targets in basically numeric to basically show per all directorate or branches in the department belonging to a particular program. You'd notice that in program one consists of finance and SEM as well as corporate service, and you'd see that in terms of finance and SEM of the total of 11 targets, so 6 of them have been achieved, which then give us 55%. Corporate service, only 1 target, which is 100% completion. And the program 2, health infrastructure, sitting at 80% in terms of meeting their target. Health, education, and stars at 57%. IRPS, it's mainly 100%, 1 target. And property management, which is 57%. And the last program 3, and it is basically 25%. And the overall breakdown in terms of the percentage give us back the overall percentage, as we have said above, which is 58% closing the quarter. Now, this slide then shows, as you know, Chair, we basically demonstrate in diagnosis to basically check which targets are within our control and how far we're doing in so far as meeting those, and which one are client specific, which is project performance. And you'd notice that there's a good output in terms of the client specific, which give us 73% and 52% of those that are within our control. The next slide then talks to this is a slide that it will follow similar principle with regard to the rest, Chair. It's basically now in a narrative to basically explain what the indicator was all about and what is the annual target and how far we've done insofar as the Q target and what has been translated into and what are the reasons for the overachievement. As you know, in terms of the audit process, even though when we overachieve, we give reasons, and when we also not achieve, we must also give reason, and that reason is substantiated with evidence. So this slide is it basically demonstrate the explanation in terms of the targets that have been achieved. And similarly to this slide, the next slide, it basically demonstrates the targets which have been partially achieved and the provision of the reasons, therefore, that were not achieved. This slide is the same in terms of, and this slide basically it talks to, this is now the narrative that basically demonstrate or explain the quantitative data as we have provided above to say. And you'd notice that in the above slide, we were talking to the numbers, and now we're now explaining those numbers in narrative in terms of which area has not been achieved and what was the target and what is the explanation. So similar approach and principle is going to follow, Chair, with regard to now program 2 and 3. This is the same in program 2, which then talks to education and stars. The next then deals to similar approaches I've explained above, that then talks to what are those targets that are sitting at the red and yellow. And then this is the health maintenance and a similar approach. And if you allow me, Chair, would not repeat those slides, would basically move into the slide that then talks to the part C, which is now begin to talks to the financial performance. And with regard to now financial performance, Chair, in relation to that, you notice that again, similar as the story we've explained above in terms of performance targets, non-financial. There's a 3 program, which is a budget structure, and in relation to that, the financial performance shows that how much has been allocated for program 1 and how much was the actual expenditure for the quarter and what is the actual percentage expenditure to date. So you see that in terms of the final appropriation on program 1, it was given a 403 million. And then in terms of the projected budget for the quarter, it was a 90,270, and the actual expenditure was basically 94.3, which gives us an expenditure a percentage under and give us the total percentage. So, Chair, this what it means is that from the total appropriation, which is 3.1 billion, we have been managed to spend the 3.3, which then translated to 95 in terms of performance. The next slide, financial performance. The next slide then gives departmental expenditure in terms of economic classification. So basically here we give an account in terms of how much has been spent and what has been the variance on compensation of employee goods and services, interest and rent rent on land payment for financial assets, and in that way. So this is a slide, as you know, talks to economic classification, but they give a detailed account on how much has been spent. The next slide then talks to the departmental receipt in terms of the current revenue as well as the non-tax revenue, and basically shows what has been collected on monthly basis. The next slide then deals with continuing departmental revenue, and that was in relation to the vote, Chair. Now, this slide, it gives an account in terms of the client department, and with regard to that, again, we're basically showing the budget allocated per each department and what has been the expenditure as at end of March 2021, and we basically, which is now Q4, we're basically giving the total budget allocation and the total spend allocation and the percentage thereof in relation to each department. The next now gives a greater focus in terms of the health on capital works as well as the GDE, and which is followed by the next slide. Then that talks to similar approach in terms of the maintenance, capex as well as which is in health. The next slide, which is a similar story in terms of what I've already explained around the maintenance and the capex. The next slide then talks to, as we continue to give an account in terms of payment of 30-day payment. So we are showing that the total number of invoices which were paid over 30 days, which were basically 1710, and those that were paid within 30 days, which is 3,531, and the number of the total number of invoices which were paid, which is 5,065 in all. So we're basically showing in terms of the period how much we're able to pay within 30 days and how much we're sitting over a period of 30 days. The next slide then talks to the internal control, governance and internal control. As you know that in terms of the new framework or the new provincial template as championed by the legislature in Gauteng, to pioneer that for other provinces to follow, we're now required to give an account on in terms of the firstly human resource capacity. We're basically showing the total number of posts we have in the department in terms of the structures. The last day of the period under review, we're giving the number there, and we're basically showing the total posts that have been currently filled, and we show the number of vacant posts which were vacant as at the last day of the period under review, and we're showing the total number of acting position and the number of those that have been filled, as well as the termination and the new appointment that have happened. And we're also showing the suspension that have happened. We're also giving a breakdown in terms of the GOD compliance, in terms of firstly, SMS appointment, as well as people with disability and the youth. So that slide basically is giving that account in terms of governance around the human resources. In terms of what we must explain on how we have done and complying to the matters that come from the legislature. Firstly, the resolution, and we basically showing that the number of resolution that we have received and the title thereof, and we're basically showing what has been finalized and what has not yet been finalized, which is still in due or which is still within the time frame. The next slide then deals with similarly to resolution management, which is basically what I've been explaining in terms of what were the focus intervention, and then what the report is we finalized, and what was the date in relation to that. So this slide then talks to it's basically breakdown of what has been already summarized there in terms of geode empowerment, and which we've explained in the other slides in terms of what percentage we're sitting at. So, Chair, that would then conclude the presentation in terms of the Q1. The next slide then deals with the formal questions, as we have received a total of 10 questions, Chair, that we have received, and the first question says that the department has indicated that it has paid 70% of the invoices within 30 days. The committee requests a report on the contractors that have been paid for the work that has been done under Program 2. So we have given a detailed list which then shows all the contractors which have been paid. So we're basically showcasing with the list of 10, because the PowerPoint could not take all those, but there's an annexure to this effect that then shows all those contractors, as we're demonstrating in the first group of 10. Question 2 says the department to please provide the segregated data of the companies whose invoices have been paid within 30 days, youth-owned, women-owned, etc. So again, Chair, similar to what we've explained above in terms of a detailed list, which is provided as an annexure, sampling with the first 10 of group of 10, we're showing those number of companies. We're basically showing the disaggregation in terms of the disaggregation groupings, whether Black, women, or youth-owned, in that order. Question 3 then says, question 3 says the department can please indicate that the nature reserve has not been transferred to the department for its commercialization. Please provide a financial implication that the department will incur once the asset has been transferred, and the projected revenue from such asset. Also provide the name of this GPG nature reserve. So we're saying that in terms of the response, the name of the GPG nature reserve is Rodiplat, and due to the nature reserve being under the vesting process, the department cannot conduct a feasibility study that will predict projected revenue. The cost implication once the property is transferred and surrendered by the user department for commercialization purposes will be the rates and taxes, security, and project cost for issuing a request for proposal to the market to find the highest, the best use. Question 4 then says the department is further requested to provide the status of the Valdem Nature Reserve. And then, Chair, the table, as you see thereof, it gives a status regarding the Valdem Nature Reserve. And then we basically showing in terms of the numbers there 1 to 9, we're basically showing the property description. You'd see the property description talks to the farm 476 portion 1 Valbank, which is a 1, and then we're showing that who's the registered owner in terms of the asset register. It says the RSA, and then how then it is showing in terms of the asset register on the GPG. It shows that it appears on the GPG asset immovable register, and then what has been the recommendation, the comments there in terms of of that. So you'd see that in terms of the GPG vesting, item 28 certificate is not yet issued. So basically that's a detailed status report in relation to the Valdem Nature Reserve properties, and we give account on each description and to basically show who is a registered owner and what is the comment in relation to each. Question 5, Chair, says that the department to indicate that indicated that the report on the 3 Corner House project was delayed in its approval. Please indicate why this was the case. And in our response, we say that the three projects are within the same building. After doing the risk assessment on the project, there was one major risk that the continuation of the procurement process was going to result in 3 different contractors on site, which will create problems in terms of security, site handover, liability, and general condition of construction activities. The 3 projects were recommended for consolidation into one project called the Corner House, consolidated to mitigate the risk, and the department is busy with the administration process to consolidate. Moving on, Chair, to question 6, it says that why the department continue to fail to achieve the target that relate to spending towards previously disadvantaged groups. So the response says that the department acknowledges under achievement of procurement channel towards companies owned by youth, people with disability, and military veteran, as well as the TR Chair. This confirms the slide we have spoken above in terms of the supply chain performance on BBB in terms of the 3 targets that have not been achieved. And further said that in terms of providing the explanation, says that the significantly high value awards in 2020-21 financial year were for the emergency procurement in accordance with the prevention of escalation of national state of disaster. Contractors were therefore appointed on their capability and capacity to perform the works. Due to the brief time frame, unfortunately, the focus was not on the targeted groups. This then negatively impacted the achievement for certain designated groups. It is thus that the department prioritize this now talks to the remedy mitigation to make sure that in going forward that is now achieved. Says that the department will prioritize appointment through the maintenance panel as well as goods and services, which is on quotation process. In addition, the emerging contractor development policy has been recently signed or approved, which will then be utilized in the finalization of the database of emerging contractors. Empowerment of this envisage to take place in the current financial year, which will increase procurement channel to designated groups. Moving on, Chair, to question 7, it says that please provide the name of the health facility that was identified for improved rating, and that hospital is that facility is Dr. George Mukare Academic Hospital. Question 8 says the department did not achieve the target that relates to conducting 900 conditional assessment due to lack of internal capacity. Please outline what was the initial plan for this target to be achieved and what has been done to ensure that this target is achieved accordingly. In terms of our response, we said initially the plan was to use internal official. Internal capacity has proven not to be adequate to address the matter given its complexity. The department is therefore developing a comprehensive business plan to ensure that in advancing the program further, it ultimately covers the entire portfolio and integrates into compliance and other varied risk and sustainability. Moving on, Chair, to question 9, it says, why were the delays in the payment of contractors in Mpumelelo and Acacia libraries? And please provide a progress report of the project. So the invoice were prepared on time from the DID side. The delay was from the Gauteng Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and the problem is now resolved. The project reports, Chair, is also attached in the actual narrative document, which is Annexure B and C. The last question says that please provide the list of projects that have been completed during the quarter under review, both for construction and maintenance health. So, Chair, we are now showing those projects in terms of education, stars, and health. So you'd notice that under education is a total of 15 projects that we're basically showing, and then under stars, same, and as well as and under health, we're basically showing. Under education is basically 8 projects, and then under stars is 2 projects, under health it's mainly 1. And the next slide therefore talks to the maintenance project which were completed. It basically shows that the name of the project and the area there in terms of which branch that project belongs. So that would then be the last question, Chair, in terms of the formal 10 questions as we have received. That concludes our report. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Levi, for the presentation. Before I give to members, I just want to check if the HOD or the MSc have some input to make, or they will make it after the members.
Chair, I think maybe after the members have asked questions, I think we can respond. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to open to members. Let me see who I have with me. I have Member Fuchs as number 1. I have Member Mufama, if she will be able to speak, as number 2. I have Member Diale as number 3. I have Member Makakula as number 4. I have Member Diache as number 5. Those are members that I'm able to see. Can we start in that fashion, Member Fuchs?
Yes, Chair, thank you very much indeed. And thank you for the presentation. I do have a few questions. First of all, in terms of these stats we see from the quarterlies, you know, the numbers really don't change from quarter to quarter. And I'm wondering how the department measures itself in terms of achievement. Are the stats as presented in this particular quarterly report to the satisfaction of the department? Are they happy with the day-to-day performance of the department as indicated in this quarterly report? It's kind of hard to evaluate exactly where the improvements are, if there are any. So maybe as a second part to that question, maybe the department can indicate to us where they believe they are making progress in terms of improving the day-to-day performance of the department. Then, Chair, in terms of Kopanong, you know, the number of 7 billion is being bandied around. I'd like to know whether that is the estimated cost of the building, because as we know, the cost of building and operation over a 30-year period is estimated to be 59 billion. So, you know, there's quite a big difference between 7 billion and 59 billion. And so it would be interesting to know, and maybe that's something that we should be probing as we go forward, this additional 52 billion that we'll be paying for the operation of the precinct, what exactly does that entail? What are we going to be getting for our 52 billion? Maybe it's a very big question, I know, to ask now, and I suppose we're not going to be able to answer it, but I will submit a written question and ask that you indicate, you know, what 52 billion is actually going to buy us. The second issue in terms of Kopanong is the fact that we as a committee certainly have not seen the cost-benefit analysis. And if we're spending that kind of money, surely we are able to show conclusively that it's worth our while to spend that money. And therefore, I've asked before, and I'm going to ask again, that at some point in the near future, we actually see a cost-benefit analysis so we can satisfy ourselves that spending, you know, 7 billion in the short term and 59 billion over 30 years is in fact worthwhile. And then the last issue related to Kopanong is the fact that we keep on referring to approval from National Treasury. I mean, that's something that we've seen in these reports going back years. The question is, what is the delay? What is the current status of that particular process with National Treasury? And why is it that it keeps on being delayed, or at least not, move on to completion? So if you could give us some information in terms of that. Then, Chair, as far as Guillaume is concerned, I'd like to know what is being done in terms of strengthening property management, and what is the work that property management is currently doing. I mean, I'm aware that certain tenants of some of the properties in the province have been served with eviction orders. So that's obviously one aspect of the work that's carrying on within the property management section. But can we please get an indication as to what else is being done within property management? And secondly, what steps are being taken to strengthen that in terms of resource and expertise? We know that function is under-resourced. It's a very technical area, property management, and it requires certain expertise. And so what is the view going forward? At what point in time will this department have sufficient expertise in property management to be able to manage a portfolio of 45 billion rand? So that relates to the question on property management, and kind of linked to that are the issues related to the Roodeplaat Dam and the Vaal Dam. We have many assets out there, and they're not being used to their fullest, for the empowerment of the economy and the people in Gauteng. So we talk about Roodeplaat and the Vaal Dam being, during an investing process. But while we're waiting for vesting, in the meantime, these properties are deteriorating and we're losing value, and the taxpayers of Gauteng are having to pay for those losses. So surely steps could be taken to hasten the process of vesting, so that in the case of Roodeplaat, for example, we can start looking at commercialization and maybe, getting some value from the properties, and also the case of the Vaal Dam. Could someone just give me an indication as to how long it's going to take us to get to the point where those two properties are in fact have been vested and can now be utilized for the benefit of Gauteng? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Fuchs. Member Mufama. Okay, Member Mufama is not here. Member Hoffman. Member Hoffman is here.
Good day, Chairperson. Thank you very much. I hope you are well. I have no questions at this stage. I am just listening and learning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Hoffman. Member Diale.
Thanks, Chair. No questions at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Makakula.
Chair, I'm fine.
Thank you very much, Member Makakula. Member Diahe.
Thank you, Chair. I really want to ask that when we do a presentation like this, that when we should give the achievement against the target. So we need to, when we look at this, I need to be able to see what are we measuring, what was our target, 90% of what, and how far should we have been. And I missed that in the presentation. And also when we look at around slide 35 or so, I think it was, on the matrix, the performance matrix, I'm always a little bit puzzled why we say partially achieved. We either achieve a target or we are not achieving a target. Partially achieved is very difficult to measure. So if we achieve a target, well done. If we are not, if we haven't achieved the target, please be honest enough and give us the reasons why, as well as what we are going to do going forward to achieve these targets. So I'm always, like I said, it's a bit confusing to me what partially achieves mean in the bigger sphere of things. How do I go to somebody to say, sorry, your school is not completed, but it's partially achieved, when residents or in an area has been waiting for a school for a long time? So can we just be more honest in the way that we are reporting? Again, and I will continue to say that 70% of invoices paid within 30 days is no pat on the back. And no matter what the excuses are, we should always strive for 100% of payment at all times. And I wonder how many of these companies, the 30% that were not paid on time, would be happy to sit here and say that's a target achieved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Diache. Member Mufama, are you able to speak? Thank you very much. Member Mufama is not around. Before I give to the
Chairperson.
Yes, no, you can come in.
Yes, we can continue, Chair. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Mufama. Mine is a clarity from the department that as per the template we usually use. It also has to speak to project management and resolutions. I may have missed it. Hence, I'm saying mine is a clarity. I may have missed it in the presentation, but my understanding is that the report must also speak to project management and resolutions as an item. So I give over to you, Honorable MEC and the team. Thank you.
Chairperson, can you just maybe repeat what you just said now? I didn't quite get it. Sorry.
Thank you. As per the reporting template, there's supposed to be the department is supposed to talk to project management and also resolutions.
Okay, no, that's fine. I think, Chair, maybe we may have missed it also, but I know that per quarter, what we usually do is respond to the questions that emanate from the portfolio committee, and then, but we presented that, but we may have missed just the area that you are speaking to. Chair, I'm going to try to respond to some, and then others I will ask the HOD and the team to respond to. Maybe let me start with the 30-day payment. The 30-day payment, we agree that our target must be 100% achievement. We have tried to work with our partners, especially Treasury and client departments, to be able to address it. We have a system problem, and it's a system challenge, and it affects all departments. And it's an IT issue between the two systems that we use to be able to pay service providers. You submit the invoices, and then when that interface doesn't take place correctly, some invoices don't get paid, and then they are forced to be paid in the next month. That has been one of our biggest challenges, but we're hoping to get to some type of resolution with Treasury. The other big problem is, of course, that invoices come to us, but they where we are not using the e-invoicing system, client departments must pay them, and it often takes a bit of time for client departments to be able to verify those invoices, and those then lead to. But we have seen an improvement where we are using the e-invoicing system. and we want to move all our invoicing from all client departments over to the EIS system, because that has seen improvements. And the honourable members asked, I think, asked where have we seen improvements. So we have seen improvements in our 30-day payments. It's not consistent, but we are able to see improvements. In terms of the Kopanong, I think, Chair, if and I know Member Fuchs has asked this question before, and our response has been the same. In terms of the costing and what we are going to pay for each of the clusters to each of the private partners, can we please be allowed to do a detailed presentation of such when we've concluded the procurement process? It's currently at evaluation. It will still go through an adjudication process, and that adjudication process also includes negotiations with the private partners. So if we upfront indicate what it is that we have in terms of budgetary approvals, it may compromise that process, and we are more than willing to come and present to the portfolio committee once we have concluded the procurement process. So why does it need treasury approvals? It's because it's a triple P, and that is the process of triple P. And I think in terms of the presentation, we did indicate where we are with the Kopanong. Safe to say that it is under evaluation currently. We are evaluating the private parties who have bidded, and the bidders requested extensions of time, and that's why, and it was granted, I suppose, because of the volume of the work. But also, once we have finalized the procurement process in terms of the evaluation and the adjudication, it must then go to the Treasury for the TA2B approval. And so we complete one part with GFA, and we then send it to Treasury to give us the approval. So that's where we are in terms of the Kopanong. But if we can come and present at completion of the negotiations with the private partners in terms of the costing. In terms of the cost-benefit analysis, we believe that Treasury has done, because Treasury would not have approved it as a triple P if it was not affordable. That's one of the requirements from National Treasury, and it's the National Treasury requirements. So I would imagine that once we complete the adjudication and negotiations with the private parties, should Treasury see that it is unaffordable, we will not get the TA2B approvals. That would then mean that it's just unaffordable. In terms of the property management area, Chairperson, I want to report to the portfolio committee that we have reported previously that we are recruiting and adding capacity in the portfolio, in the unit, the branch of property management. One of them was to be able to recruit a DDG. We are pleased to just report that the DDG will begin on the 1st of July. We had to wait for security clearance and other processes to be concluded after the interview and the recruitment. That has since been concluded. We received her security clearance yesterday, and we can now proceed with the appointment. And we are filling the rest of the vacancies in the area just to add capacity in the property management. But what does property management unit do? They are also dealing with leases. They are also, yes, dealing with the evictions. They are also dealing with the municipal accounts. But the land management unit, which is also with the property management unit, deals with a lot of the land management issues, such as the transfers of land, either from ourselves to other entities or from other entities to ourselves. Of course, that just comes to the Roodeplaat and the Vaal Dam issues. We've escalated the process to the ministers, the various ministers. One, for instance, is Public Works. One, for instance, is Agriculture, Rural Development, to be able to find ways of expediting the vesting process. It's not a simple process because it's not sitting on one portion of land. The land is there's multiple portions of land, and that vesting process. But we've escalated it and have written to the ministers to be able to intervene and address it. And we're hoping that we'll be able to be able to fast track it in some instances. I'm going to ask maybe Levi will explain the partial versus the not achieved. I thought that in the presentation we did indicate the targets versus the achievements. So just as an example, if we look at the slide 39, we indicate, for instance, and that's just program 1, administration, we indicate that the annual target is 35%, quarter 4 target is 35%, the actual target was 39.6%, and we give the reasons for the overall, for the overachievement in those instances. And so we've indicated what the annual target is, what the quarter 4 target is, and the actual performance against the target, and we've done it for each of the programs. So I'm not sure whether it was maybe just it was just missed by the honourable member, but that's the normal reporting template that we use. We have to indicate the annual target, we have to indicate the quarterly target, and then the actual performance against each target, and that can be seen on each of the programs in detail. So what in terms of the quarter 4, and of course then it closes the annual performance. We do, of course, there were areas where we saw very slow progress and performance in terms of even against, if we look at against previous years. One of the biggest ones was the EPWP, and that was because of quarter 1, quarter 2, and part of quarter 3, where we were not, because of the lockdowns, we were not allowed to work, and that affected our EPWP performance. Those EPWP works according to you pay for work done. So because of those lockdowns during the quarter 1, quarter 2, it ultimately affected. We were able to quarter 4, but ultimately it affected. It was the same with the targets in terms of finishing either IDM stay gates or being able to advertise, because quarter 1 and quarter 2 saw the tender bulletin being closed, so that affected our targets for those quarters, and ultimately it affects the performance for the entire financial year. So we notwithstanding all our issues and the way the lockdown affected our performance in relation to the targets, when we were able to reopen, we had to find ways of addressing those shortcomings. I'm going to just ask maybe the HOD, and if the HOD wants, and Levi will respond to the partially achieved, not achieved aspects of the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, MEC. Let me allow Levi to proceed.
Levi, you can respond, or HOD, whichever first.
Thank you very much, MEC. MEC, you have basically explained and answered all questions, including question raised by Member Fuchs around the variance in terms of performance quarter by quarter. That also MEC has taken care in terms of the answer that then deals with the chair that asked in terms of the template. As the slide you see there demonstrate the resolutions, as you have basically asked, you missed that part, and then also the project performance, that's where we have started. So MEC, I can confirm that we basically answered all questions, except to maybe add on the notion of what partial means. So members would recall that even in the past, we've been explaining how that philosophy works in terms of the evolution of monitoring and evaluation. That then says that at the end of a report, you basically report achieved or not achieved, as you said, members. So when you complete the year in terms of the annual report, you basically complete in terms of what has been completed, what has not been completed. But during the course of the year, in terms of the breakdown, you then recognize that there's targets that would have happened which were not fully completed, and those targets, because they were not fully completed, they are not added as complete, but they are also not added as not achieved, but they are however added as a partial, because work has happened, but it is not work that has actually led to the completion, but it also not work that has actually led to the target not being achieved at all. So therefore, it's put that into the bracket of partial, which then gets monitored throughout the year. But at the end, when you disclose in the annual report, when the AG audit, they then audit on what you have achieved and what you have not achieved. And what you have achieved, it has to therefore meet the criteria, which is the completeness, which is valid, and which is reliable. So that therefore gets into what is then complete, and what then not complete, it is therefore not taken as having met those criteria. Therefore, it is regarded as not achieved. So it is in that context. So I thought, let me just explain the simple way maybe to explain how then we arrive into what is this partial, to say if you've got 4 targets, you basically meet 3, and then so you have not met 1. So therefore, that means that the whole target is not complete in total. So therefore, it is partially achieved. But when you meet 4 of those, then it is complete. Therefore, it's regarded as complete. If you have not met or none of those, therefore, it is not complete as such. So that's the analogy and the philosophy behind the notion of partial. Thank you very much, MEC and Chair. Thanks.
Thanks, Levi. HOD?
Thank you, MEC. I think we have responded to all questions. Maybe just as an addition for the level of comfort to Honorable Fox on the issue of improvement, I think while we note that we have not done quite enough in terms of improvement, but there are systems that the department is already put in place as a way of introducing a more strategic and a more accountable system. For example, in the current year, as part of improvement that we are trying to do towards the achievement of our APP, we've aligned our APP to the business unit annual operational plans. We have also tried to align that to the performance agreements, and also align to other pronouncement to ensure that there is an alignment in terms of our plans. But also we infuse the APPs to the monthly reporting framework that we are introducing in the department. That will assist then to monitor on a monthly basis our targets going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I think if we are done with the questions, we can go to the next presentation.
Thank you, MEC and the team. I lost the HOD to a
Sorry, Chair.
Boom, and they need for improvement. Oh yes,
Chair,
you
we've
can
lost
come in
you as well.
Mr. Ntata.
We've lost you, Chair.
Did you lose me? I was saying, Member MSTM can come in. He was back if he still wanted to proceed. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can
Am
hear.
I audible?
Yes, Chair, you are audible. I was done, Chair. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. As I was saying, thanks for the report, and indeed there is a room for improvement. As Levi was explaining the issues now about the partially and the achievement and not complete. I also realized that the report also did not speak to public education programs, the feedback sessions on issues related to stakeholders in terms of service delivery. So we indeed, I think we need to improve at that level, MEC. But with that, for the report, we will move the next presentation, which is the budget vote report. Over to you, MEC, in the department. You will lead us as we did in the first report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, if the presentation also if we can be assisted with it being flighted, HOD will indicate who's going to do the presentation. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair, and MEC. The acting CFO will do the presentation.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, MEC, HOD, and colleagues. Honorable Chair, I'm just waiting for the presentation to be flighted. I am not too sure, Honorable Chair, if it's me from my side who cannot have sight of the presentation. It's saying the content can't be displayed from my side. I'm not too sure whether it's everybody.
That's what it says to be as well.
Everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Secretariat. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. Honorable Chair, this is just a table of content of what I'll be presenting to the Portfolio Committee. It will be the budget analysis over the 3 years, including the current financial year 2021-2022, as well as the budget and expenditure for the current financial year 2021-2022, infrastructure budget and expenditure, departmental revenue, as well as rates and taxes. Can move to the next slide. Honorable Chair, this slide illustrates the budget analysis over the 3 past financial years, as well as the current financial year of 2021. You will note, Honorable Chair, that for the 18-19 as well as 19-20, there was an increase in terms of the budget, what was appropriated to the department. There was also, if you note in the presentation, that there was a decrease during the 2021 financial year, and there's also an increase of 2% during the current financial year 2021-2022. What I also want to bring to the attention of the members is that the budget has increased significantly, as I've indicated, and there was also a decrease during the 2020-2021, and there was also an increase during the 2021-2022. There's also what I also want to bring to the attention of the members, Honorable Chair, is that the funding for the Triple P Kopanong project, which there was a 100 million budget, was withdrawn by the provincial treasury because the project will only commence during the 2022-2023 financial year. Over the 2020-2021 MTF, the provincial treasury has implemented composite budget cuts, which resulted in various departments in the province being reduced by 664 million over the 3 years. And in terms of those numbers in the department for 2020-2021, there was a decrease of 174 million. For the current financial year, which is 21-22, there was a decrease of 220 million. And for the next financial year, which is 2022-2023, there's a decrease of 270 million. Furthermore, budget cuts were implemented during the 2020-2021 to make provision for the COVID-19 pandemic. The budget cuts over the MTF, the cuts were relating to compensation of employees as well as the goods and services. And in terms of the numbers, Chairperson, 220 million for the current financial year. The next financial year, 2022-2023, is 313, and then in 2023-2024, it's 292 million. With regards to the current financial year, which is 2021-2022, approximately 79% of the budget is allocated to Program 2, which is the core mandate of the department, with 12% allocated to administration and the remainder of 9% allocated to youth development program, which is within our EPWP program. Can move to the next slide. This slide then illustrates the 2021-2022 current departmental budget as well as expenditure. I'll only be talking to on program level, which is 3 programs, administration, public works, as well as EPWP. In terms of the main appropriation or main budget for administration, it's 446 million, 446,000, and then for public works, it's 2.5 billion, and then EPWP, it's 241 million. In terms of the expenditure to date, which is at the 30th of April 2021, we are sitting at, for program 1, which is administration, is 34.8. The next one, which is public works infrastructure, it's 73. And the last one, which is program 3, EPWP, it's 11.2. In terms of the percentage spent on program 1, we're sitting at 8%. The next one, which is public works infrastructure, we're sitting at 3%. And the last one, which is EPWP, we're sitting at 5%. Overall expenditure as at the 30th of April 2021, Honorable Chair, the department is sitting at 4%. I'm not going to go through at item level, Chairperson. I wanted just to bring to the attention at program level where we are in the overall expenditure, which is currently sitting at 4%. Can move to the next slide. In terms of the expenditure on infrastructure-related infrastructure, Honorable Chair, the first one talks to the disposal, which is the Bank of Lisbon. There is a budget that we have not yet spent of about 3.3 million, which relates to the final account relating to the demolition of the Bank of Lisbon. So I think we know about that particular project, Honorable Chair. The next item talks to refurbishment and rehabilitation relating to only DID infrastructure. The main appropriation with regards to that item, it was 134 million, 134.2 million. In terms of the expenditure, as at the 30th of April 2021, we're sitting at 1.4. Available budget is that 132.7 million. in terms of the percentage spent on the refurbishment of DID-related infrastructure, was sitting at 1%. Maintenance, the main appropriation or budget on that item, it's 33.7. In terms of what we have spent as a department as at the 30th of April 2021, we are sitting at 966. There's an available budget of 32.7 million. And in terms of what we have spent from a percentage point of view, we're sitting at 3%. The total amount spent as at the 30th April 2021, it's 2.4 million. That constitute 1%. We can move to the next item. In terms of the departmental revenue management, Honorable Chair, we have those item description as articulated in the slide, which is rental dwellings, non-core residential buildings, open and covered parking, staff boarding services, commission on insurance and garnishee orders, sales of tender documents, interest received, financial assets. In terms of the targeted collection on item number 1, or the first item description, which is rental dwellings, which talks to our residential properties as well as commercial properties. The targeted collection for the year 2021-2022, it's 25.2 million. Actual collected as at the end of April 2021, it's that 665,000. In terms of the variance, is that 24, which we have not yet collected. The percentage collected under that item, Honorable Chair, constitute the 3%. In terms of the covered parking, which officials then pay, which is debited from their salaries, the targeted collection, it was the 1.4. We have collected 50,000. There's that variance of 1.4. In terms of the percentage collected on that item, Honorable Chair, it's 3%. Staff boarding services, it's in terms of what we have collected percentage-wise, it's 5%. Commission on insurance and garnishee orders, which we collect on behalf of third parties, it's at 5%. Sales of tenders, you will know that most of our companies that we do business with, they download the bid documents. So there is no, we have not collected any funds there, although we have made a target collection of about 1.3, but to date we have not collected any. In terms of interest received, there is nothing. Financial assets, the target collection is 770. Actual collected as at the end of April is 22. Variance, there is that 748. In terms of percentage-wise, we're sitting at 3%. Overall percentage for revenue collection for the department as at the end of April, it's 3%. Then move to the next slide. Thank you. Honorable Chair, this then talks to the property rates projected expenditure for the year 2021-2022. What we are actually saying there in this slide, Honorable Chair and members, is in terms of the various municipalities, there is a budget allocation per municipality. You will note then that if you look at the city of Johannesburg, the budget allocation for that municipality is the 350 million. COT, which is City of Tshwane, is 340 million. Ekurhuleni Metro is the 181.3 million. Mfuleni is 100 million. Lesedi, it's 6 million. Merafong, it's 15 million. Midvaal, it's 8 million. And Mohale City, it's 7 million. In terms of the budget allocation for the 2021-2022 for rates and taxes is the 1.025 billion. So this slide was just illustrating what we have budgeted for the property rates and taxes for the various municipalities within Gauteng. Can move to the next slide. I think this should be the last slide. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Roland.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much for that. I am going to request the indulgence of members, as I noted them in the last round. Member Fuchs will be number 1. Member Mufama will be number 2. Member Diale will be number 3. Member Hoffman will be number 4. Member Makakula will be number 5. Member Diache will be number 6. Thank you. You may come in, members.
Thanks, Chair. My first question relates to the adjustments of the budget over a period of time, the budget that relates to this year. If we look at, I think it was one of the initial slides, the indication is that the budgets have been cut by some 400 million rands for this financial year, and I'd ask that number just be confirmed, please. I saw a note in there relating to refurbishment in 75 Fox. You know, this is more sort of technical detail, doesn't really relate to budget, but just to say there have been complaints of the air quality at 75 Fox. I'm aware that proposals were made and there seems to be some kind of a blockage. And I don't know why, but infrastructure development is being blamed for that process not proceeding. But it's a matter that we will discuss, I'm sure, in more detail in due course. But I'm just raising it here so that people are aware that there seems to be some kind of issue in terms of 75 Fox Street. Then in terms of the revenue, I mean, we've never, over a number of years, met the actual budgeted revenue. And, you know, we always hear the excuses of people are not paying rent, etc., etc. We do have a situation where people are, you know, our management of leases is not up to scratch. And it's been indicated now that people have been evicted. There are certainly those who don't pay any rentals. So my question really is, what steps have been taken by property management to ensure that we meet our budget in terms of revenue from rentals? I mean, now that people are being evicted, do I assume that new people will move into those properties with based on new leases, and that the actual budget then of what is it, 25 million is not under threat? So, you know, how much confidence do we have that our management of the properties is going to provide us with the 25 odd million that we have budgeted? In terms of revenue as well, can I just understand why we have no interest, you know, on revenue? Yeah, I'd just like an explanation as to why there's no interest there. And then, you know, if we look at compensation and we add to that rates and taxes, and we add to that accruals, we find that our budget is really, really under pressure. And that is why we say from year to year that we are underfunded. Now, you know, it's all very well to agree to budgets, but at the end of the day, when you're not able to achieve your mandate because you are underfunded, then fingers will be pointed at you. So I just want to know to what extent any effort has been expended in terms of determining exactly to what extent we are underfunded, and also then to provide some kind of pushback to Treasury, you know, to prevent this constant pressure on the department to perform when they don't have enough money to perform. And then I think the last question, it relates once again to property management. The MEC suggested earlier on that they've employed somebody who will start shortly, and some additional resources will be employed. My question is, how much money in terms of rands and cents have been allocated to strengthening that department in terms of personnel? Yeah, that's the first question. And then over and above personnel, are there any other budget allocations towards property management. You know, property management, as I said, is quite complicated, a technical field, and it's normally managed by systems, computer systems. And it's my understanding that we don't have a specific computer system to assist us in that process. And are there any plans in terms of this budget to invest in systems to help us to manage our property? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Mufama. Member Diale. Member
Chair.
Hoffman. Oh, sorry, Member Diale.
No, it's fine, Chair. I just wanted to make a comment just to say that I think we really need, from our side as a legislature, need to realign our program so that we make meaningful. You know, I always listen to Member Fuchs almost ask same questions over and over again. And sometimes I think, like, for instance, we never get to discuss APPs, the budgets of the departments before they are adopted. So we only get to do after, like, we are only going to be discussing the annual performance of the department in somewhere in August, when we're in the middle of another financial year. And I think as a legislature, we need to find ways of, or as this committee, we need to find ways of finding a way of realigning so that we are able to be able to talk to performance of the department, but also influence or make input while time still permits. Because the truth is, if we continue the way we're continuing as a legislature now, we'll not be able to do proactive oversight. You know, we'll always then therefore be asking same questions over and over again, and then not seeing value in our work as a legislature. And I think maybe, Chair, to raise with coordinators, we need to find a way of asking the Chair to also be of this portfolio committee to raise it, because it impacts on our participation and our inputs on what we should be doing. I mean, you listen to Member Fuchs, if you play records of the meetings of 2019, 2020, some of the questions has been asking them, you know, from time to time. And the department will also say, we have responded on this. And he speaks of, we want performance, and only to find that there are limited resources for the department to can be able to do the job. And I think this is not only the department that we all know, that other departments also, there are things that we expect them to do, but they can't do them because they don't have budgets. And we never get a chance to make inputs on budget processes of departments or planning during the planning phase. So maybe, Chair, because the cycle of GPG planning starts in September, October, maybe I suggest that for us to be able to say, okay, we've made input, this is what we expected, and this is what was approved. How far are you on this? Then we are able to say, but this is what we agreed upon, that you are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, the property management aspect of DID has been for the longest time being marginalized. We are happy that today the MEC says there's a DDG appointed to come and do this work, you know. Now the next question is, do you have the money to do the work? And it's possible there's no money to do that. So I'm just saying that there's a need for us to really realign. We can't blame it on the department, but I think it's the problem of the legislature looking also at the program itself. It doesn't assist us to be proactive when we do oversight. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Hoffman.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate. I want to concur with the previous speakers. I think the revenue is a problem. The income is a problem. But what is also worrying me is the expenditure on maintenance. If we don't maintain, as Member Fuchs also said, we don't maintain, the value of these property diminish, and then we are in for a lower rent and all that happens there. The other factor is that most of the infrastructure gets to be dangerous for people staying there or living there, and that is also a dangerous situation in civil suits and this more. So I want to concur with the previous speakers in saying that we have to have a relook at the budget. We have to have as the chair, have to have a conversation or a meeting whereby we can assess what the future is of these buildings and maintenance thereof of this infrastructure. So that would be my 2 cents. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Hoffman. Member Makakula. Member
Chair.
Oh, sorry, Member Diale.
My apologies, man. I noted this and I forgot to ask. As they were presenting, I don't know whether this still belongs to DID once it's handed over to a client department. The township schools that are not currently used, like for instance, I know in Mamelodi, there are primary schools that are no longer used or don't have kids in their role, and as a result, they are abandoned. Are they still belonging to DID, or are they now properties of Department of Education? And if they are properties of DID, do we have an audit of those? And what do we have plans around them? Chair, that's the question that I wanted to ask and I forgot it. I'm sorry. Sure.
Thank you very much, Member Hoffman. Member Hoffman.
Sorry, Chair.
Member Hoffman spoke. No, Member Hoffman spoke. Member Diache. Sorry, my apologies. Member Diache.
Thank you, Chair. I'm largely covered. What I do want to just ask is that to what extent that the Department DID is sure that when they hand over properties upon completion, that the owner departments have the budgets to maintain the properties. It is all well and fair and good to say that that's not your problem, but at the end of the day, it becomes the problem of the residents of the province when buildings and properties are not maintained. So all I'm requesting is that we from DID side be sure that when we hand over properties upon completion, that the owner department have in fact the budget in place to maintain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Diache. Before I give over to the Member Makakula, Member Mufama. Okay, before I give over to the department, indeed, I want to concur with what would have been raised by members, especially Member Diale, that our work ought to be aligned to the work of the department. We seem to be drifting away from each other, and we need to work closely with the department, and there is a need to have that engagement at the level of the committee so that our work is indeed aligned. I will give over to the department. The MEC will lead, and as we did in the past presentation. Thank you. Over to you, MEC.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you for the questions and comments. Chair, maybe just to agree with the Portfolio Committee that I think the budget allocation for the work and the expectations that DID is supposed to do are not adequate in many, many aspects. So I won't use the issue that Member Fox raises continuously. And of course, that's a very key critical area. But linked to that is, as an example, is our security budget. So we have assets that are not, they are either vacant or assets that we hold in our asset register for future use for the provincial government. But our security allocation is very, very low in relation to the assets that we have to secure or we are expected to secure. So, and that's just one example, and we can go on and give many, many examples of the various areas that we are underfunded. Even the municipal rates and taxes. And at some point in the past, there was some work that was done with Treasury to be able to address that issue, but we are still underfunded in terms of what we are supposed to pay municipalities. But what we did with Treasury a few years ago was to be able to ring fence an allocated amount, which is good because it forces us to not use discretion in how we use that money, and we aren't able to within the program transfer money when we are under pressure in one particular area. So that ring fence budget goes to municipalities, and that's possibly how we need to treat the rest of it. So if we look at the way municipal budgets are drawn up, for CAPEX, they have to have an allocation for all their CAPEX spending. They have to have an 8% allocation for maintenance. Of course, whether the municipalities use that 8% is a different argument, but I think it's something that we want to look at. And that responds to the question of, do client departments have sufficient budgets for maintenance? Probably not, because we don't have a scientific approach of how, as a province, your assets that are held with you, what is the percentage that you must ring fence for maintenance. Maintenance is one area, but there's a big area of even operationalization. And maybe for some members who serve in the Portfolio Committee of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, operationalization becomes quite a sticky issue. So we build these properties or the infrastructure for them. For instance, a library, they hand it over to a municipality for operationalization, but the municipalities have not adequately budgeted for it. Neither has the Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture. So I think all of us, all departments in the province, we are in the same boat. We are all underfunded. And then you have to make a case as to why you need funding. Can the money be spent? How will it be spent? And whether you can commit to spend it in a particular financial year. Interestingly enough, National Treasury is trying to introduce the zero-based budgeting. And I don't know if it's going to assist us or if it's going to take us further back in terms of what we are expected to do and whether we can achieve our mandate, all of us, all provincial departments. But maybe it's going to assist. The zero-based budgeting might assist us. In terms of the property portfolio, in terms of not only the revenue collection, but everything else, we are working with eGov for a systems upgrade to be able to address those systems challenges, because our portfolio is so huge. If you don't have a technologically based system that will assist us to be able to do that, that work, managing our property portfolio, we are not going to be able to do it. So we are working very, very closely with eGov We've done quite a lot of work. I think we are close to the final stages of that work so that we are able to do the systems upgrade the systems. But parallel to that, we have made some funding available within our current budget in the property management space to be able to also assist us with external expertise to assist us with some of the pressing needs. So the asset register, the property optimization strategy. We are working currently with we've made funding available for the evictions process. We've made funding available to deal with the land management and ownership issues. But it does definitely become difficult because you are hamstrung with the amount of work you can do in a particular year based on the allocated budget. And then we're always playing catch up. So I think, and all of provincial government departments are in the same boat. For us to be able to respond to all our needs in a particular year, we will probably need maybe up to triple our budget, our current budget. Maybe also just historically, the way the property management unit in the department was established, it's not a full branch. So that also lends itself to the inadequate funding. And we are hoping with the current process that is with DPSA, we are trying to make a strong case for developing a full branch of property management. That will then allow us to have to account for it as a program. It will be properly funded in terms of, or better funded, let me not say properly funded, it will be better funded in terms of human resource and budget, and then better funded in terms of the mandate that we are supposed to achieve. But because it's not a properly fully fledged branch, it's a unit within the department, its budget allocation also gets treated as such. But we are hoping with the current process that we undergo every 5 years with DPSA in terms of relooking at the structure, we'll get to achieve that issue. The township schools, just simply, Honorable Tiara, is that it's held with education until education transfers the asset back to us. In some instances, it takes 3 years for them to do it. In some instances, it may even take longer. We are working with education to be able to almost automatically take over those schools because they are aware that in the next year they have got no enrollments, or they have already taken a decision prior that they are no longer going to use that school. And the sad part is that many of these schools become vandalized and occupied while they are still with education, and then education transfers it back to DID. And by that time, it is vandalized or it is occupied, and then we are, again, like I say, playing catch up. It is a problem, and I think it's more an administrative as opposed to a legal problem that we need to resolve between ourselves and education. So that when education takes a decision not to accept new enrollments in any upcoming years, we have a process where we automatically it automatically gets returned, because a user department has the jurisdiction to determine what it will use the facility for. So education can say, well, we don't want to use this as a school, but we now want to use it for this service of Department of Education. And that's why they would possibly hold on to the school for some time. And then when they've decided really we're not going to use it for anything, give it back to DID. But we want to be able to have an automatic return to DID. And then when the user department decides, it will remain as an asset under the usership of education. Unless another department comes to us with an interest, we then have to go through a different process with the recognized user. I think the budget cuts have affected all of us. Not only did we have to reprioritize, that budget cuts affects the type of work we are able to do. And just the issue around just the issue around how we have to juggle around with within the department and the competing priorities. There were some specific questions in terms of the interest, etc., etc. I think I'm going to ask the acting CFO to respond. Some of them are mandatory reporting lines, and because it's a mandatory reporting line, you have to have a target for it. But there are reasons why we would have no target and no achievement, and he will speak to the areas such as interest. I think interestingly enough, as we've said, we no longer sell, for instance, we no longer sell tender documents, but it's something that we have to have a target for because we do issue tenders. They now download tenders electronically. I think it's about how, just as the entire provincial government, we also realign and readjust our targets to represent the current realities in South Africa and in our system. We no longer have walk-ins, people coming to purchase a tender document. They download it. But remember that within PFMA, it says your process must be fair, equitable, and competitive. Anybody, even if they don't have access to the internet or a computer to download, must be able to. So we have to keep it as a target. What we are grappling with is what is the correct target, because it will continue to reflect as underachieved. I'll ask the acting CFO to respond to the specific questions just around the figures and the responses on the issue around interest and revenue collection. Thank you. Acting CFO.
Thank you very much, MEC. Maybe just to start with the question that was asked by Member Fox with regards to the project at number 75 Fox Street. Honorable Chair, the department went out on tender. It went through the evaluation process. It's now sitting at the adjudication process. So hopefully, maybe in the next few weeks or so, that process will have been concluded and award will have been made to the highest bidder. With regards to the interest received item description on revenue management, that item, Honorable Chair, relates to interest that the department will have received with regards to interest of money that of a positive bank balance in our bank account. So as things stand, we have not yet received any interest, and we are not reporting any interest that the department has received relating to a positive bank balance in our bank account. With regards to the adjustment on budget cuts, I think I have already reported that with regards to the Mtf budget cuts over the three financial years, which is 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, and 2023, 2024. The first one, the budget cuts in terms of the figures, it's 220. The next one being 313, and the last one, which is 2023, 2024, it's 292. But the current financial year, it's 220 million, which relates to compensation of employees as well as the allocation on goods and services. Thank you, MEC and Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Anything from you, HOD?
No, I'm fine, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that presentation and the report. Maybe just before we pass, there is a hand from Member Diale, and please, before you come in, Member Diale, I would also want a clarity on what happened to the e-maintenance, and then we can come in, Member Diale. Is it?
Yes, thank you very much. Your question makes me not want to ask my question, but MEC and the team, thank you very much for your presentation. At least, you know, in 2019 when we started, we asked ourselves whether MEC, you are going to be able to turn around things, but there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and we wish that you continue doing the good job. But I just want to throw it to yourself now. Now that we know the unemployment statistics of young people in the country and in Gauteng, and with all these budget cuts, are we going to be able to be creating the much needed jobs? And perhaps maybe, Chair, in the next, or maybe the department can come and make a case and a presentation to us. How are they going to be resolving this challenge of youth unemployment in Gauteng? Remember in 2019, when at the beginning of the sixth administration, the Premier had made a commitment that he's going to, through the department, create opportunities, artisanry opportunities in the department. And looking at the current budget cuts, are we going to, I mean, when you cut 220 million on compensation, it means you are no longer going to be hiring people or promoting individuals. My question is, are we going to be able to be creating job opportunities for especially the youth? And maybe they don't have to respond to me now, Chair, but just to say in the next presentation, they should maybe prepare a presentation. How many job opportunities are they going to be creating in this financial year that they are in? Thank you very much. So the e-maintenance for me, Chair, the reason I laughed, sorry, just on a lighter note, the reason I laughed, the e-maintenance make people not to have jobs because everything is electronically done and you need less people to manage or maintain that system. Just on a lighter note. So moving it to e-governing, it doesn't work for us as a country that has so much inequalities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Diale. Over to you, MEC and the team.
No, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think we, as difficult as it is, we really are trying our best. I think in terms of the professionals in the department, we have many young people. There's candidates who have been able to register as professionals. We still do have the posts for the artisans, and I think maybe as the member Diale is saying, in the next portfolio committee, if we can come and present some of the creative avenues we have used and we want to still further use to be able to create these job opportunities for young people. We've looked at what it is that we are supposed to do as a department, as opposed to relying on client departments to give us those job opportunities. So, for instance, I mean, if you look at the maintenance that we do for health, we get a lot of requests for service that are around electrical, mechanical works, but very, very little for general building. And in terms of the general building, that's where you have the entrance into the market. That's where you have those that can participate at that level. Mechanical works are for those who have more experience. Yes, you do find youth in the space, but they are really for companies, because we are doing work on lifts, on air conditioning systems, etc. So, and those are the requests for service that we receive from health, which is the only client department that we are doing maintenance for, or outside of our office buildings. So we are looking at what it is that we are doing as our own department, and what are the creative ways. And I think some of them have been very innovative. We'd like definitely in the next or future portfolio committees will come and present those, and maybe even speak to some of the experiences. We've recruited EPWP. And we've used a very different strategy this time for the NYS and EPWP participants. We already have some participants who have exited the program internally from the department because they have been offered other opportunities outside, which is a good indication that even from EPWP you can exit into the market. We'll be able to present those figures to the portfolio committee. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, MEC. Thank you for the presentation. It was quite engaged. I'm hoping members are comfortable now because they would have raised enough issues. We move to the next item, the tabling of progress reports on Noktula's occupational certificate on the installation of water in Kekanastad and Mandisa Shitseka, the detailed budget spent and progress on COVID-19 projects, the report on COVID-19 expenditure, and the progress report on Fine Town clinic projects. Over to you, MEC and the team. Thank you. And sorry, before you come in, MEC, members, I'm hoping this one can be presented in totality. Or what do you suggest? Do you also suggest, do you move with how we did it, that the department presents all these reports one by one, like Noktula close, not Geseg close? How do you want it, members? I'm hoping that these are small reports.
No, Chair, yes, we agree with you. It's progress reports, so they can do all of them.
Thank you very much for that. To you, MEC and the team.
Thank you, Chair. If the presentations can be flighted and if HOD will indicate, I think it will be DDG Selepe that will be presenting, or the project managers in particular, or chief directors from the branch. But if they can just maybe speak to the updates on the progress as opposed to going through, of course, we do provide the entire presentation, but if they can just speak to where we are updating the portfolio committee. Thank you, Chair.
DDG Selepe will take over from here, followed by health. Thank you, MEC.
Thanks, HUD. Thanks, MEC, Honorable Chairperson, and honorable members of the committee, and all participants at large. Good morning. If we can just scroll down on the slide. Can I ask that we scroll down? Okay. Like the MEC has guided, will be focusing mainly on the key activities that actually will allow us to just have a final occupancy certificate. And then if I can quickly go through those, in the main we had the issue of stormwater with the city, and there was an environmental and a COJ Environmental and Infrastructure Service Department signed the revised SDP on the 29th of January 2021, and as well the architects prepared and made a submission to the town planning and land use management for final approval. We are waiting for the city to make a final determination on that. And then on the issue of the township layout, preliminarily we received SDP approval. However, for record purposes, there's still some adjustments that have to be done on the SG diagram with the Office of the Surveyor General. And then on issues about Section 82 which involve the sewer pipeline that we had to upgrade. That work was done last year, October. We completed that work, and signed Section 82 together with the SDP were submitted to COJ building divisions in May 2021 in that regard. And then with regard to the approvals requiring JRA, Joburg Roads Agency, where they asked us to provide some 10% of the material used for paving along the entrance side of the school. That was submitted, and all outstanding issues were resolved with JRA, and JRA issued certificate of acceptance of the works. And okay, the school is currently operating on this thing. The temporary occupancy is valid until the end of this month, and there's the issue of the rising damp with one of the buildings. We did proposals for budget allocations with GDE. They went and did an inspection as well. And given that from the time we made the submission to the time that they made the inspection was some months apart, they are of the view that we'll need additional more money than what we initially submitted. So they are working on the issue of that budget so that they can give a final approval that that restoration can be done. And there are issues of geyser leakages and so on that we reported. The electrical engineers have devised a maintenance plan for that, but as well that work is included in the budget that GDE will just have to sort out so that that work can be implemented. There was an issue that was raised as well, fine above, which is not, some of the issues are not conditions to issues of occupancy certificate, but are some of the matters which were raised with this committee. There was an issue of training that the school complained that they were not trained. A follow-up training of the staff that covered CCTV, generators, intercoms was concluded in December 2020. So which was a follow-up training because some other training was done before. That is with regard to Noktula. And then I must as well just indicate that in terms of where we are standing right now, we do not owe the city any information with regard to Noktula. They must just finalize if there's anything in terms of the documentation that they think they will need, they will tell us. But as far as we know, we don't owe them anything. I personally made follow-ups up to yesterday to just ascertain that the information shared and the update that given, where do we stand? So we will just be further interacting so that we can have on Noktula that matter concluded. On the next one is Noor Khaseg, and with regard to Noor Khaseg, the issue there, I think on the presentation there should be slide number 29. The issues of the township establishment on Noor Khaseg and condition of establishment. Okay, all these issues are there was consultation with COJ regarding financial and legal clearance of the site, and then the issues is dependent on proclamation of which are upon clearance given, of which the city still is still going to provide. It's only that can be provided. And with regard to that, there's the issue of the SG Surveyor General SG plan, which was approved by the Surveyor General in July 2020. And then there's pre-proclamation conditions of Section 28 certificate. Corporate geoinformatics to issue street address map to be submitted by the town planner, and this was sorted out in February 2021 and it's done. There was a matter that actually this is one of the key unforeseen things, which involved a feedback from Department of Minerals and Energy, because that area is as well classified as a mining area, and then their approval was received in March 2021, and it was submitted to the city. It was one of the key. So as a result, revised submission of the map 3s on COG template was submitted by the town planner May 2021, and we are awaiting feedback. Title deed for the new township, submission of the notice and opening of the township register at deeds office by the conveyancer, and the actual activity awaiting proclamation by the COG. So a preceding a key activity in this regard is the proclamation, and then the condition of the registered title deed from this office, like I indicated, will just be subject to that key activity. And then with regard to permanent occupancy certificate, the following are outstanding matters, and some of them I'll indicate that already done. Registered title deed required by the owner's name. This we are just awaiting the process that I spoke to prior. Proof of contribution in terms of bulk contribution services. The bulk services in the area, they are adequate. We don't need to make any, the city has confirmed we don't need to make any bulk contribution. Proof of proclamation, this is what the city must conclude on. Registered zoning certificate required, this as well is dependent on the proclamation. And then with regard to anything about a rational design to be separate from sanitary fixtures, all this were submitted as part of the plans. And the final issues on the plans, although already they were discussed with the city and so on, they will only make those final approvals upon proclamation, because proclamation will set officially all the conditions and anything associated with that. And I can confirm as well that on this school, as we stand, we have submitted everything, with the last submission being done in May as indicated. And then we as well made follow-ups with the city up to even yesterday morning. And we expect them to give us a feedback from sometime next week so that we can have these matters concluded. I think that should bring us to the end of those, and that is basically where we are. Or maybe the other issue that I must just share with the committee, with the advent of COVID, with the rotation that they follow at the city, yeah, some of the key people that we work with, sometimes they only come once a week in the office and so on. So yeah, it has been a bit tedious and hard, but with the progress we've made, we're confident that now we are at the tail end, or any time now we should have these two matters fully concluded. Thanks.
Thank you. Who's next? Thank you. You can come in.
Morning, Chairperson, honorable members, MEC and HOD. It's Tami Mashinini. I will be presenting for GDOH. Can you, I mean, for health, can you please provide me with the slides? I can't see the slide on my side, Chairperson. I'm sure if I'm the only one who can't see it.
It's not showing yet. Which ones are you presenting, Mr. Mashinini?
It should be the expenditure on COVID-19 first, and then, or is it Mandisa, Sitega, I think, followed by COVID-19. So I can start with Mandisa.
Do you members have these reports with you? They are on the invitation, so that while they work on flighting them, at least we are taken through reading from our gadgets. Are we able to do so, members? So that we
Yes,
don't wait for them to be flighted. Thank you. You can proceed, Tammy. And Kaya, while you are working on flighting it, at least we can go through it. Thank you.
Hi, Chair. Okaya has got a connectivity problem, same as myself. I've been trying to help.
I don't know how this thing went. Oh, okay, we can see it now. Oh, but it's still not true on the screen. Tammy, aren't you able to read from your side?
Okay, Chairperson, let me open the presentation. Maybe if I can also try to flag it on my side, I'll just check. Let me check it now.
It's showing now.
It's showing, but the presentation that you've got there, it's talking about the 19th of July, 2019.
19, I see.
So I've got one which is June 2020. I'm not sure if I can read that so that I don't waste time further.
The today's one is June 2021.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, you can.
Today's presentation is only 15 slides, Chair, so I think that one was maybe an older version that was flighted.
the one we have is the June 2021 one.
Yes, that's the correct one that was circulated.
Yeah. So he can read, because we can read from our side.
Tammy, you can proceed because members do have the presentation. They'll follow as you go along.
Okay. All right. Thank you, MEC, and on the chairperson and honorable members. I will be presenting a Mandisa Sipega project. It's a community-gated daycare clinic. So on my first slide, in terms of the project description, the project is being funded by also on the equitable share. The contractor there is Thor Construction. He's been appointed through NEC option B. The project start date, it's 1st of September 2017. And therefore the project as well, it's located at City of Tshwane. Expenditure to date is 122,458,138. That is the amount certified to date. Then the project cost, the total project cost inclusive of the professional fees, it's about 137,008,903.23. So the new completion or anticipated completion date for the project, it's 31 August 2020. On the first slide there, in terms of the comments, the title deed of sale, we have received the title deeds or the sale of deeds from the deeds of sale from City of Tshwane. Land management, they've finalized the process in terms of appointing the evaluator. The documents, the pack has been prepared and submitted to GDOH for signature. Once that has been submitted, then it will be sent back to the City of Tshwane so that we can be able to process the issue of the land acquisition. So there on the comments there, that is the progress to date, to say we're still waiting for GDOH to sign off the documents. Then in terms of the progress, overall progress there, the project is sitting at 99%. This it's been a while. The project has been sitting at 99% because of we can't proceed with the construction of the additional parking. So that progress, the project has been sitting at 99% for a while now. Then if you move to the slide in terms of the procurement plan, you will see that most of the activities or the equipment has been delivered on site to date. So the only outstanding item there, it's the additional parking that is being required. Then in terms of the local participation there, we've got adult male, which is 2, adult female, which is 1, and then youth male, we've got 5. We've got youth male, which is 3, and then people with disability, we've got 1. Also, in terms of the local participation, we've got the subcontractors list there, but most of the contractors list there, if you look at the status as well, they are off-site because most of the work has been complete on-site. So we've got LAJ Plumbing, Inex Electrical, Glass and Aluminum Specialist, RSC, Silati Roofing, First Cool, Biotherm, Tshwane Fire and Sprinklers, LJR Mechanical Engineering, Madota PC, Costa Tech, FEB, Tanks. Then we also got Kimutule, Vinyl Flow for vinyl flooring. We've got SMME's labor only subcontractor. We've got Kimutule, Ricket Construction, Ramasagola, Makaukane, Amandla A2 Construction. So those are the subcontractors that were appointed for this current project. So then after then we'll move at the risk. The risks there, we've got the risk description, which is delay on land acquisition for the required additional parking. I've already talked on that in terms of the progress that has been made. For now, for us now, it's to get the signed documents from GDOH. Once we have submitted those documents to City of Tshwane, they said they should be able to issue us with the PTO for now so that we can also be able to submit the building plans so that we can also be able to get the occupation certificate. So that is the mitigation risk there regarding that item. And then the issues, it's the issues I've already highlighted. On the issue of the land acquisition, I think it's the main issue that is holding this clinic back. So once the process has been finalized, then we should be able to report on progress about this clinic. Then you've got the pictures there for the clinic as well. And then also there's a last slide, thank you very much, regarding Mandisa Sikwega. I'm not sure if I can also go to the next one, MEC on my side, or the portfolio committee will be able to flag the next presentation.
If you can present it, Tammy, it's fine. Just indicate to the portfolio committee which presentation you are doing next.
Okay, thank you very much, MEC. The next presentation that I will be doing is the COVID-19 expenditure. So if everyone can go to the presentation for COVID-19 expenditure. Okay. Okay. Sorry, MC, I'm just trying to check here. I have two COVID-19 presentation here, so I just want to check which one was submitted to the portfolio committee.
The one that says ends at 30 April and the one that says 3 June 2021. So we have two.
Yes, I think I just want to see the one for 30th of April. I think that's the one that I need to present.
So to the portfolio committee chair, there are two presentations on expenditure for COVID-19. The one is just health related, which Tammy will take us through. That one is the one dated 30th of April. The second one, which is dated today's date, will be presented by the acting CFO. So this one is just for the health.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Oh, thank you very much, MEC and the chairperson. So I will strictly go to the financial status of this project, of the COVID-19 project, MEC. I will start. I think the slides there, if the members, they've got the presentation there, you will see that we've got project status, source of funding, total budget, total available budget for 2021, 2022, total expenditure to date. So I will be taking you through. For the first project is Anglo Ashanti Hospital, which is sitting at 99%. The total budget today is 588,136 million. The total available budget for 2021, 2022 is 58,813,000. The total expenditure for 2021, 2022, we have spent 13,100,112.05 cents. The total expenditure to date is 419,893,340.64. Then we've got Tshwane District Hospital, which has been completed 100%. We are currently busy with the final account. So the total budget date was 54 million. There's nothing on the total available budget for 2021, 2022. And then also on the total expenditure, it's zero there. The total expenditure to date for that project, it's about 48,359,220.18. Then also we've got Discoverers, CHC, which is sitting at 79%. Also there, the expenditure in terms of is 37,894 million. The total available balance is 25 million for total available for 2021, 2022 is 25,385. Nothing is spent in the current financial year. The total expenditure to date is 36,139,666.48. Then we've got Lineage CHC, which is also sitting at 76% in terms of construction. The amount that is spent there, it's about 34,944,000. The total available budget on the current financial year, it's 10,018,000.00. Nothing has been spent to date. The total expenditure to date is 33,673,152.31. Then we've got Dr. George Mukari, which is sitting at the final completion as well. We are busy with the final account on that project. The total budget, it was 1,890 million. Total available budget in the current financial year, it's 4,647 million. Total expenditure, it's 0. Total expenditure to date for the overall, it's about 168,668,954.71. Then I've got Kopanong. 300 ICU beds, which the construction it's sitting at 70% to date. The total project budget is 275,768,000. The total available budget is for this financial year, it's 178,865. There's nothing that has been spent to date in the current financial year. The overall expenditure to date is 122,973,817.81. Then we also have Chris Hani Bara 500 ICU beds. It's complete. We are on the final account there. The total budget is about 540,497 million. And then total available amount there on this current financial year, we've got 64,049. Then there's nothing has been spent on the current financial year. The total expenditure to date on the overall amount is 464,060,164.41. Then we've got Dr. George Mukari, 300 ICU beds. Construction is sitting at 95%. The project is about 294 million. Total available is 2,122. In this current financial year, we've got about 100 million. Then the total expenditure to date is 24,894,387.39. Total expenditure to date overall is 189,150,409.14. Then we've got Jubilee 300 ICU beds. It's 100% complete. We are sitting at final account. The total budget for the project is 324,098 million. Total available budget for this current financial year, we've got 23,337 million. Then total expenditure to date is 13,310,077.88. The total expenditure to date on the overall is 283,614,089.48. Then we've got the repurposing of COVID-19 facilities. It's ongoing. There's no budget which it's allowed for. There's no total budget current. The total available budget on the ECE, it's about 50 million. It's about 50,000. Then we've got the total expenditure, it's 0. Expenditure to date, it's 0. NASDAQ facility, it's been decommissioned. The total budget is about 176,358,000. Total available is 48 million. Total expenditure for this current financial year is 31,697,458.187. The total expenditure to date is 243,479,270.87. So the total budget for the COVID-19 project, MCA and Chairperson, it's about 2.5,012,313 million. Then the total available on the current financial year is 513,164,000. Then the total expenditure is about 82 million on this current 82,998,035. Total expenditure to date, it's about 2,010,012,095. So can you go to the next slide, please? Then we've got a summary there in terms of the total COVID-19 projects. I've already reported on that in terms of the budget available and vis-a-vis the expenditure to date. So the budget, also the budget that is available on this current financial year, I've already presented on it. It's 82,998,035.50. Most of the projects are complete and are on final account, as you can see in terms of the presentation. And then the amount is being allocated for final accounts. NASDAQ isolation facility has been decommissioned. All equipment stored safely at Chris Hani Bara Hospital. Thank you, MEC. Can I go maybe to the next presentation?
And Tammy, please do numbers correctly. It's only us who can do numbers wrong.
Okay. No,
no,
noted.
237 million, 337 million. No. Thanks. That was on a lighter note.
Okay, no problem, Chairperson. Then can I go to can I start? Can the members turn to Kekana start presentation? It's also reflected June 2021. On the
yes, we can start.
I can start. Oh, thank you, Chairperson. All right. The project information in terms of the project manager is Renee Marti, and then we've appointed the contractor Ascal. It's a 10-key project. Then the project started on the 24th of April 2019. The project is currently sitting at 90%. The expenditure to date is 35,746,667.21. Then the project commenced in 24 April 2018. The project cost inclusive of the professional fees is 53,502,056.15. The estimated completion date is 05 August 2021. In terms of the comments there, the expected estimated completion date is 5 August 2021. The CE for ESCOM bulk connection, it has been approved by GDOH. We are waiting for the contractor to pay on this item as well. I think we have also had the waiting for the client department to open an account, because when the contractor pay must also reflect the account on the payment statement. So that process is underway. Also, the CE for stormwater and sewer treatment plant, it has been recently approved. So the contractor will be continuing with the installation of the stormwater channel. And then also the sewer treatment plant, we have been given a go-ahead by GDOH. But however, the response, it came back in terms of the amount that was requested. We were also requested to say, can we also look at the other quotations that are available that are less than the amount that is required by the contractor. So as well, that process is still ongoing. Then the project is sitting just around 90%. I think I've already reported on that. Most of the activities you can see there, they are about 90, 100%, 80%. So in terms of the contract amount, I've already alluded that the contract amount is about 53,055,02. That is on the presentation of the cash flow. The cash flow slide there, it will show the total amount in terms of the consultant, of the contractor, to say how much we have spent to date. You've got the total project expenditure for is the contractor and the consultants. It's as I alluded before to say it's a 10K. So it will show you the total figures there. Then in terms of the expected final cost, you'll see there that expected inclusive the recently approved CEs, we estimated that the project will be completed at 61,432,735.20. Then when you go to local participation, the subcontractors, there we've got the main contractor in terms of the allocated SMMEs. We've got Mahlomula M, which was appointed in terms of the value. There is 1.1 million, 37,624.172. Then we've got Ray, is it the Ray Ementle security fence? It was appointed at 988,586.08. We've got Mampon, Chadi, and Nikki, roadworks and paving. It was appointed at 2,091,957.18. We've got ATT G10 Ball Global Paintwork. They were appointed for 1.2 million in 84,586.73. We've got AMC Refuse Building. It was appointed at 1,438,237.09 cents. We've got Bahorogile Basadi, got the room, 1,231.02 cents. We've got Cover Works. We appointed for glazing, it's 459,704.96. The total amount for local SMEs, therefore that part is 7,601,927.78. We've also got Jolinkomo, external works, demolition, plastering, brickwork, structural works, which were appointed at 1.288892.62. We've got Mkwati Kaya, external works as well, 688,892.60. We've got Munsi Wache Legacy, external works, demolition as well, 1,051,392.60. We've got Walcoti Group, mobile toilets and cleaning materials, 400,000. We've got Lufuno Koni, local supplier, building materials, 300,000. GNG, construction, local supplier, there, 400,000. We've got Batlile Bareki 3, local supplier, 450. We've got WNH trading and projects, demolition and paintwork. It's 502,473. And then the total amount for those local SMMEs is 5081,650.82. Then we got, in terms of the local participation there, I will just go to the total summary there. We have appointed about 80 laborers or local people for this particular clinic. And then we also had a list. When you go to the procurement plans, we've got the long list items, which is the health technology, which the date of delivery started on the 30th of March 2021. Then we also got the vinyl flooring, which has already been delivered on site. Missed medical furniture, it's already started as well on the 3rd of March 2021, it's on site. Then we've got artwork and signages, which has been partially done. In terms of the risk, the clinic, when you look at the next slide, slide number 9, when you look at the risks, there's no drinking water available on completion. In terms of the mitigation, we've been engaging with City of Tshwane regarding this matter. We were referred to Makhali's water. However, yesterday we got the latest information. It's not the latest, it's already been there, but however, we are given a hope to say City of Tshwane might connect for us. But however, yesterday late, we received an email to say they're no longer going to connect for us. So the only option that is left for us now is to go on the borehole option. So that is the option that we are looking at in order for us to be able to provide water for that clinic. And then also the other risk is the late approvals and late payments in terms of the CEs, the ongoing engagement with GDOH, it's in progress. And then I think also the other thing that was referring to there is the issue of water, to say if you don't have the drinkable water, or okay, in terms of the rubble, I think the contractor is how place the rubble was all over. The housekeeping, it was not in good order. So we have spoken to the contractor should remove all the rubbles on site. Then when you go to the issues, again, the issues is the outstanding approval of the CEs. Most of the E's have been approved. There's one which was submitted yesterday for extension of time. We should also engage with GDOH to frustrate the approval. However, this one still needs to go through our BAC before it can be submitted to GDOH. So the terms of the issues, the late approval of the CEs is affecting the contractor's cash flow. So we are continuing to engage with a client to try and fast track the approval of the CEs. As you can see there on the next slide is the pictures of the Kekana Start Clinic. It's complete when you look at it. Thank you, that was the last slide. Can I go to Fine Town Clinic, MEC? Chairperson, am I still audible?
Yes, you can proceed, Tammy. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you very
Fine
much.
Town. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I've got Fine Town Clinic B on slide 2. Also, the project manager is Renee Lembertley. The budget source is equitable share. The project start date there, site handover, it was 9 March. This project is not a turnkey project, it's a conventional, meaning we have appointed consultants and the contractor separately. The consultants, we've got Piri and Nyoni project. We also got Bahale, we've got Schumann Construction. The status currently, the project is sitting at 96%. Expenditure to date, it's 40,001,568.67. Then we also, the total project cost is 52,399,065.29. So in terms of the estimated completion date, we're anticipating that we should be complete the project on the 30th of July 2021. In terms of the comments there on that slide as well, the finalization of the dental chair connection, ongoing engagement with City of Tshwane about the transfer of land to land transfer from City of Joburg, not City of Tshwane, Chairperson, my apology. And then bulk power supply connection application not done due to outstanding power for 20 from COJ. If I may elaborate on this comments, the first one, the finalization of the dental chair. The contractor, I think the dental chair was done by the first contractor. And upon installation here, when the second contractor procured the dental chair, they could not connect because the connection points, they were not matching. So they had to correct the connection points. So this was only picked up when the medical equipment was delivered on site. It's only one item which is still outstanding from the contractor site. Then the issue of the land transfer, it's been there. We've been engaging with JPC in the past few weeks. When we had a meeting through our IGR, in one of the meetings, JPC and COJ, they were part of the meeting, where JPC produced a memorandum of understanding between City of Joburg and Department of Health Provincial regarding the health facilities in the province. However, on that memorandum of understanding, it was discovered that Fine Town was not part of the list that was included in that MOU, because the decision or the discussion was that once they received that MOU, and then COJ will be able to provide us with the power of attorney. However, when the MOU was forwarded to the legal team of COJ, they rejected it and said no, Fine Town was not part of that MOU. So what we have done now, we have written a letter, I think Kulil has written a letter that is going to the MMC so that they can be able to assist in terms of intervention there to say, how do we go about this? As you can know, that Fine Town clinic was initially donated to Department of Health by COJ before the clinic was burnt down. So we have built it on the clinic that was burnt down on the same site. However, now we are getting these challenges in terms of doing the land transfer. So having said that, because of these issues of the land transfer, it means that we can't be able to connect the power supply. We can't be able to make an application so that we can be able to connect and have a permanent electricity on site. So that is the only thing that is holding us back. I just wanted to give more details on that. And then when you look in terms of the progress on slide 3, you'll see that the progress, the average is ranging between 95 and 100%. And then in terms of the cash flow there, when you go to slide 4, you'll see that the approved budget is 52,399,065.29. The certified amount to date is 40,001,568.67. Then in terms of the procurement plan, the medical equipment we started in October. Most of the equipment, they are on site. However, the GDOH needs to come for inspection. Some of them, the ones that need electrical, they cannot be tested and commissioning. That is the challenge that we have. The louvers, new waste and cut house, there are louvers that we're still waiting for. That needs to be installed on the water tank. We've got heat pumps. It's all still on progress, it's not yet on site. HVAC ducting in progress, waiting for a supplier. Then we've got joinery, which is in progress. We've got electrical connections waiting for DIT to resolve. It's the matter that I've just alluded in terms of on the brief summary that I've provided on the first slide. Signage is also in progress. Then you've got the list of subcontractors there. In terms of fine town, you've got Chinese stones, window sills. You've got Shisa plastering, which were appointed. The contract amount is 150,000. We've got Yazam Electrical. The contract amount 900,000 in Lipouts trading. Security 316,239.78. We've got Kaho contractors paving. It's 122,755.64. Then you've got Madopa Lina installing door frames. It's 3,540. You've got Madopa Lina again installing doors and iron mangri for 17,500. You've got Mavuso Sotobe, which brickwork, 150,000. Mike and D Faith moving existing fence, 5,500. We've got Mike and D Faith installing doors and iron mangri again, 17,500. We've got MMH plastering, 150,000. MMH labor only tiling, 120,000. You've got Stembisos Gababa plastering, 150,000. Chelis brickwork, 150,000. Then we've got Zulu plumbing. And also in terms of the domestic subcontractor, we've got Good Timing ceiling, that's 750. Sbongise Mbali Buhleni paintwork, 300,000. We've got Tillis, which is appointed for tiling again, 245,000. William Innovation Aluminium, which is 1.8 million, 850,000. Then the total amount which has been paid for this four subcontractors, the domestic one, is 5.399035.42. Then this is the amount that has been spent in terms of labor as well, and SMMEs. You'll see that in terms of the SMA of the labor only, we've spent about 1.659,054,974. Then you've got the SMMEs there, which is about 6,779,589.06. In terms of the issues, the CE submission for COVID-19 pandemic, it has been approved by DID, additional website instruction assessment approval. We have been granted an approval on April 2021. Community strikes, we already received an approval. So we don't have any other issues there. In terms of the training, the planned labor to date, you'll see that we have planned to have 32. We've managed to appoint under the main contract, we've appointed 59. In terms of the PTWP training, we planned 17, we managed to train 40. Then those are when you go to the next slide, it's pictures. And then thank you, Chairperson. I think that was the last presentation from my side. I'm not sure if I'm missing any other presentation that I need to present.
Thank you.
Chair, shall we do the last one, which was the corporate expenditure, and then
yes, please.
We've done all the projects.
Okay, thank you, Missy. You can proceed.
Okay, thanks, Chair. This is the COVID expenditure report. It's the second one that's dated the 3rd June 2021. I will ask the acting CFO to take us through this presentation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, MEC. Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and members. I'll be taking you through the COVID expenditure on sub-services that the department has expensed over the period of 2020-2021. Let me just wait for the presentation to Thank you very much, Secretariat. In terms of the table of content, there's the background, the contract value per category, and the monthly expenditure per category. Chairperson, if I may, I'm not going to maybe just go through the background. I think we have at some point given that explanation to members of the Portfolio Committee. I'll go straight to slide number 8, if I may. Thank you, Secretariat. In terms of the contract value per category, we had 3 services, Honorable Chair, which is fumigation, disinfection, and deep cleaning. Number 2, which is PPE, and the last one, which is maintenance. In terms of the contract value per category, you will see there for fumigation, it's the contract value is 123.6 million. For PPE, it's 14.6 million. For maintenance, it's 94.1 million. And the total contract committed for the 3 services, which is fumigation, disinfection, deep cleaning, PPE maintenance, it's 232.4 million. We can move to the next slide. That is just an illustration of what I've explained in the pie chart in the previous slide. We can move to this slide, Honorable Chair and members. It depicts what the expenditure per category. In terms of fumigation, disinfection, deep cleaning, the department has expensed 123.077 million. For PPE expenditure, the department is currently sitting at 14.6 million. For maintenance, the department is sitting at 70.3 million. This is expenditure per category to date. The total expenditure against the 232 value or contract value, it's 208 million. This slide, Honorable Chair and members, is just a monthly expenditure per category from the month of March 2020 to September 2020. Can move. This also, Chair, it's also illustrating the monthly expenditure from the month of October 2020 to March 2021 in terms of what we have paid for the various months up until the end of March 2021. Chairperson, Honorable Chair, that was the last slide with regards to the expenditure relating to those 3 services, which is PPE, fumigation, and maintenance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Rulani. And thank you to all the presenters for the presentations. I'm now going to open to members for indulgence, and we are going to follow the same order. It will be Member Fuchs, Member Mufama, Member Diale, Member Hoffman, Member Makakula, and Member Diach. Can we engage members? Thank you. Member Fuchs. Okay, Member Fuchs seems to be not available. Can we have Member Mufama? Member Diale. Member Makakul, Member Hoffman, sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, Chairperson, you are.
Oh, okay. Member Hoffman. Member Makakula. Member Diafe.
Thank you, Chair. I have no further comments. Yeah, interesting presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
thank
Chair.
you very much.
It's Member Hoffman. I also have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Hoffman. CFO, do you want to come in quickly? I see.
No. I wanted to inform. I wanted to inform you, Honorable Chair, that MEC has got load shedding, so she's trying to reconnect.
Oh, okay. No, thank you. That's noted. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for that. I see members have no questions on all the presentations.
Yes, we
which,
appreciate that, Chair.
Oh, thank you, Member Diale. Thank you very much for that. I would just request the department. I also have no questions, but I'll just request the department to check the issues of the occupational certificates, especially the Noctula and Nord Geseg. We seem to be comfortable with us having done our work, but we are not 100% sure from what I sense if the occupational certificates have been issued. It seems as if there are still issues to be dealt with. But we'll deal with those things also at the committee level. We know that also Fine Town is doing well. Thanks for the presentations and thanks for this report. Let me also take the time to thank you. But before I do, if the MEC is connected and if she wants to make any input, and if she's not, if there's any input from the HOD, because we don't have any questions on these reports. Are you back, MEC? Is there anything from your side, HOD?
I think the HOD also has connectivity problems, Chair.
I see Tami is here, Roland is here. Let me thank you, the department, for making time to come in and appear before us and give us these reports. We appreciate that, and we will engage further with you on issues. Most importantly, we will work on aligning our work with yours so that we are able to can do our oversight correctly. And thank you, and you are released. Your session has concluded, but members of the committee and our support team, you can remain. We are proceeding with our meeting. As you would remember, we requested to start with issues of the department. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
Sesisodwa, Maureen, are we fine to proceed? Are we alone? Can we proceed?
Chair. Chair, I think we can proceed.
Thank you very much. As per our agenda, we must go to minutes. But before we go to minutes, I would want to propose that based on today's reports, members, we also do oversights so that we, confirm that what has been reported is the true reflection of what we find on the ground. I wanted us to discuss that so that if we agree, at least the support team is able to can engage the chair and look at the program on how and when it can be done. So I wanted to bring that proposal before you, members, before we proceed to the agenda, just on the engagements as presented by the department. Member Diache, you can come in.
It's Diale and Diache. And Diale has
Yeah,
raised
both
her
of
hand.
you, your hands were up, so that's why I said.
Okay. Okay, sure.
But you can come in first. Okay, Member Diache, you can come in. Okay, Member Diale, you can come in.
Okay, thanks, Chair. I want to agree with you that we do oversight, especially on all the project, the updates that we had today, just to ascertain what we were told here today. I agree, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Diale. Ma'am Maureen, you will communicate with the chair so that you make plans accordingly. We need to visit everything we spoke about. Thank you. We are moving to our next item. And our next item is adoption of the minutes of the 25th May. Do we want them to be flighted, members, or did we have time to go through them? And what would and what will you, if there are issues that you may have noted on the minutes? But I think we all have them, though I don't see mine now. I thought I have them somewhere. Do we all have copies of minutes? I'm trying to open mine. One person raised a hand. It's Member Diale. You can come in.
Yes, Chair, I went through the minutes. I just wanted to make correction on, I forgot which item. I read them yesterday night. There's a spelling error of LAC. They wrote LAC, L-A-G instead of L-A-C-K. When a presentation on GOD mainstreaming was made, I think it's bullet 6 or 7, 6, 7, 8, somewhere there, just to correct it. But otherwise, Chair, I'm fine with the corrections. The minutes are a true reflection of what happened at the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think you are speaking to bullet number 7, I think point something. They said the lag behind in terms of business and management experience. That is the point you are talking to. That must be corrected. It's bullet 7.1 on mainstreaming of GOD. Yes, you are correct. They wrote lack of the LHG. So if that can be corrected, that's the only noted issue. Can we then adopt our minutes?
Apologies, Chair. There's also an incomplete sentence. I'm trying to open my, I don't have electricity. The other gadgets are off. So I'm using my phone and I don't. The next presentation after the GOD presentation, I think it's bullet 2 or bullet 3 on, is it Buntu Bonke, on the school there, Bantu Bonke. There's I think bullet 2 or 3. I felt that it's an incomplete sentence. It has a B before a full stop, and I wanted to just ask what did the writer meant by that sentence. I think it's sentence number 2 or number 3 under that item. Yeah, Bantu Bonke early learning childhood thing.
I'm trying to check it. It was not a challenge to learn to the process. So the challenge related to set different. Or the issue of training offered, then there's a B. that must be moved. It's the last sentence on the Bantu Bonke ECTC project. It says what was the initial envisaged date of completion. Then it says the issues of training offered, but there's a P instead of a full stop. So if that also can be corrected. Did other members note anything on the minutes? Thank you, Member Diale. If none, can we adopt the minutes?
I move, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Diale. Seconder. Seconder to the minutes. Are members still here?
Yes, Chair.
Oh, thank you, Member Diache. Thank you very much. We are moving to matters arising. On matters arising.
No matters arising, Chair.
I think, okay, thank you. But on my side, I think I must have noted something on the Maibu inquiry that we ought to report about. And I before me, I have a letter from the MEC of Infrastructure that I think I must brief the meeting about. The letter speaks to the request by the department to the portfolio committee to put on hold the inquiry on the Maibu until the department concludes interventions of the matter. The department believes that on numerous occasions it shared with the committee varied challenges and interventions explored to resolve the problem. Such interventions included interactions with the City of Johannesburg, the Gauteng Provincial Treasury, and the Gauteng Department of Education. The report further says notable progress was realized to an extent that all municipal approvals were obtained, including drawing approvals. Allegations of wetlands were dispelled by providing investigation conducted prior. Furthermore, the Department of Education confirmed budget to an amount of 23 million in March 2021, though not adequate to conclude the works. This has enabled activation of engagements with the contractor. The contractor has further assessed the site and confirmed the actual amount required, and this was communicated to the Department of Education for revision, where technical interaction is ensuing to enable conclusion of the matter. The contractor has further provided program to conclude the works in 6 months. So they are requesting us to put on hold because indeed there is work that is being done to try and resolve what we raised as a problem. So I thought I must put this to you members so that we speak on it and close it in that note. You can come in, members, Member Diale.
Okay, Chair, we agree and will appreciate a continuous update on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anything from you, Member Diache? Member Hoffman? Okay, we are proceeding to our next item on the agenda. We have agreed to the letter as raised by the MEC. We are moving to number 7, Ma'am Maureen and Kaya, are there any provincial bills?
No, Chair, we don't have.
Any bills from National Council of Provinces?
Not yet, Chair.
Any resolutions?
We don't have any, Chair.
Okay, on correspondence, I must indicate that the chair has requested the GPL legal unit to take members through the GIAM Act in order for us as the committee to engage the department on issues of property management in a meaningful manner. So can I request, I think, Maureen, on issues of the correspondence in relation to this act presentation and any other correspondence?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, good day, members and colleagues. Chair, yes, Chair has requested that has proposed that our legal unit within the GPL present the GIAMA Act to the members so that they're able to engage the GDID on property management. So members, if members remember well, we in our term program, we said we will look for the date where we will adopt our FIS. So Chairperson felt that maybe we should add this activity on that date. And here we propose the 14th of June, which is Monday, scheduled for the constituency. And currently, Chair, we have sent letters to all the chief whips, political chief whips, to the legislature to utilize the day, but the meeting will be in the evening starting from 5 o'clock. And we have received responses from some chief whip's office accepting the committee's proposal. Once it has confirmed members, we will communicate with the members. And Chair, there is another correspondence on a feedback session on Suikerbosrand, which is long outstanding. The Economic Development and Agriculture Committee has requested that both committees, since they are joined, to meet on the 18th of June to receive this feedback from the infrastructure on Suikerbosrand waterline project. The meeting will be on 18th at 18th June after the sitting and at 18 hours, Chair. Think, Chair, I have covered all. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much for those correspondences. Can you also, while at that, take us through the progress on the preparations of the FIS meeting with the do you understand me, Mamorin?
Yes, Chair.
Oh, okay. Please come in.
Okay, Chair. Thank you. Since the FIS will be conducted physically, Chair, the venue will be at City Hall, and we have invited 150 people, although we were requested to invite more than 200, but looking at the third wave of the COVID, Chair, we opted to invite 150 people. And the GPL is working on ensuring that the City Hall is ready by fumigating, and all the necessary requirements will be followed on that day, Chair, such as sanitizers, and there will be securities monitoring the 1 meter distance, social distancing issue. Chair, we have also arranged transport accordingly that will follow the COVID-19 protocol. Otherwise, Chair, so far all is in place. We have received several confirmations. We invited the universities, institutions for people with disabilities, women, youth, and military veterans. We are receiving a positive progress. Some of those that we invited will join the committee via YouTube and Facebook. And we were informed that hybrid has now been connected because, Chair, there are some people with disabilities who are based in Cape Town who were interested to join the meeting. They also have branches in Joburg, but their head office is in Cape Town. And I think, Chair, this hybrid will assist in terms of them joining the meeting. I'm not sure, Kaya, if I covered all. Thank you, Chair, for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maureen. Anything from you, Kai?
No, Chairperson, Maureen has covered bulk of the preparations, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope we will be just informed on time. These reminders sometimes they come late, and we are quite engaged on other matters, and sometimes you know you have a program, but if you don't get this link on time, or this calendar invite on time, times when it comes, you find that you have already committed to something else. So I'm just advising that we are informed on time. Members, this brings us to the conclusion of this meeting. Let me thank you all for your participation, and also thank our staff. And our next meeting will be the one on the 11th of June on the issues of FIS, the one at the City Hall, and it will be starting at 9 a.m. in the morning, whereby we'll start with the committee issues, deliberate on the adoption of the report of the budget vote and the fourth quarterly report. And then later, the department will present the FIS topic. Let me thank you again, and this meeting is officially concluded for a day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.